Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family. Welcome to the Saturday edition of the Wellness Homesteader. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Kim. Today we are going to do something I have been wanting to do for a little bit, and that is we are going to make sweetened condensed milk bread. And I thought this is so timely to make it right now. With the holidays coming up, you know, some of us will have out-of-town company coming in and staying overnight. And especially like Thanksgiving morning or even Christmas, when you're trying to prepare an elaborate meal, you don't want to have to worry about what are you going to feed your guests. So this, you could actually make a day ahead, and I think it's going to be delicious. In full disclosure, I have not made this bread before. It's kind of going around YouTube, so some of you may have seen it before. I actually saw it on the Kneady Homesteader. So if you all haven't visited her channel, she is a baker, canner extraordinaire, lovely lady, big family. She's just a delight to watch. So tell her Kim from the Wellness Homesteader sent you, and go out and subscribe and watch some of her videos as well. So we're going to get started here, but before we do, I wanted to tell you all, I had mentioned in an earlier video that I wanted to share with you some of my favorite things. And I want to say that with a caveat. I do not have an Amazon influencer site, so you won't see Amazon links where I'm going to receive money yet. I have just had problem after problem after problem, so I decided, you know what, my purpose is to share knowledge and to meet all of you lovely people. It's just been such a delight. It's not so much that I really want to help promote Amazon. That said, I also don't want you all to ever feel like my channel is going to cost you something. I love that this is a free platform, and I want to bring you free videos and free information that is beneficial and helpful and maybe a little entertaining. I can be entertaining at times, but I try to tone it down a little bit for videos because sometimes I have a sarcastic sense of humor that can be taken off. So I do want to share one thing with you before we get started on our bread. And that is something that I actually will receive a small amount of compensation for, and that is Scentsy. So if you've never heard of Scentsy, Scentsy is a company that primarily produces wax warmers and scented wax. I love having scents in the home, but I'm very particular about products containing phthalates, which is PHTH LATES. So that is an ester. It's a chemical that enhances a scent, but it has been determined to be detrimental to your health. In my research, do your own research. So I have used Scentsy for about 2 years. They have amazing scent crystals for laundry, and y'all know I'm addicted to scent crystals. I've tried making my own, but I can't even come close to Scentsy. But I love having scent in the home. You know, scent can really evoke memories, really set the mood. So this morning, this is actually a wall plug-in, so it's not a freestanding warmer. I've had this one for a long time. It is still available on the site. And I'm going to add in some scent in Silver Bells. So I will drop the link. I'm actually having a party, if you will, an online party. And I'll drop the link below if you want to order something. Never a requirement, never anything I want you all to feel obligated to do. It's just when I find a good product or something that works for me, especially given my health and wellness concerns, I want to share it with you. So all you do is take a wax block, stick it in there, plug it in, turn it on, and this one actually lights up, so it makes a perfect nightlight. But it does, you know, it does use electricity, but a very, very small amount. And in just a short moment, your home is going to smell amazing, just saying. All right, so let's get started on our milk bread. Let me put this away. Okay, So I will drop the recipe in the description box so you don't have to worry about writing all of this down. So we're going to start with our KitchenAid mixer here. Swing you around and down. You'll notice I have the paddle on, even though we are making bread, because we want to mix up all of our ingredients first, and then we'll switch over to the dough hook. So we're going to start with 1 cup of warmed milk. And guess what? My milk cooled off while I was waiting. So hang on a minute, let me warm this up. Okay, rewarmed here. And you just want to knock the chill off of it. I actually did about 15 seconds on my microwave. It depends on your wattage. So there we have our 1 cup of milk. To that, we are going to add 1 egg. So y'all know I always crack my egg into a little dish because I'm always fearful I will get an egg that is not good and ruin the ingredients that I've already put into the bowl. So we're gonna add our 1 egg. And this will go in my compost bin. All right, the next thing we're gonna add is sugar. And you need only 2 tablespoons of sugar. So even when I was watching and recording the recipe, I was like, wow, this doesn't have very much sugar in it. But when you put the sweetened condensed milk in, as well as the delicious glaze that goes on top of this bread, yeah, it's gonna have some sugar in it. Okay. So how are you all coming along with your holiday decorating? Yeah, I've been doing a little. I did get a little bit done. And I'm trying to decide whether I want to like blow it out of the park and put up everything, or whether I'm going to be conservative this year. I never mind putting it up, but I just despise taking it down. And with Hanky Panky Frankie, I did try. I got the lights out to put the tree up, and yeah, first I had to untangle the lights, then I had to untangle the cat from the lights, and then I had to extract the lights from the cat's mouth, and they were all slobbery. So I've kind of abandoned the idea of a tree. I haven't had a tree since the very first year I had them, which was totally a fiasco. So I may put a tree in my dining room behind the cat gate, but I haven't decided yet. All right, so the next ingredient we're going to add is we are going to add instant yeast. Now I have mine in a jar in the freezer. I always keep my yeast in the freezer, but I did save the package for you because I had to open a new one. So this is SAF. I think that's how you say it. It may be SAF, don't know, but it's instant yeast. And I can find this on Amazon. My local stores, both Aldi and Walmart, do not carry SAF yeast, and it's very difficult to find instant yeast. You can find regular yeast, and you can also find bread machine yeast, but no instant yeast. Why, I don't know. So we are going to add 2 1/4 teaspoons of SAF yeast or instant yeast. So yeah, I finally y'all laugh at me. You know, I struggle with my vision, right? So I finally broke down and ordered some new contacts because I am so tired of not being able to read anything and doing the whole back and forth thing. You know, aging brings some challenges, but you know, I'm so thankful and grateful that I can see it all. So there you go. So now we have our milk, our egg, our sugar, and our instant yeast. I'm gonna raise the bowl and I'm just gonna mix that up real well. And I've mentioned this to you all before. I have a very large mixer with a 7-quart bowl. So sometimes when I need to mix up something, it's not super easy if it's very small in the bowl, just because of the size of the bowl. So this looks like it's actually doing pretty well. And oh, don't you just love the smell of yeast in the morning? Okay, let me grab a spatula. So So one thing I've learned about myself, I am very poor at preparing for videos. Y'all, I try. I like read the recipe 3 times and I try to make sure I have everything out and ready. But the fact of the matter is, when you're not accustomed to doing a cooking demo, it can be a little bit challenging, just saying. So this is not well mixed yet, so I'm gonna turn it up just a touch. Ah, yes, that was the key. Okay, that looks really, really good. So I am going to drop my bowl and scrape it down a little bit and switch to the dough hook. So I do have the stainless steel dough hook. I think the normal ones, unless you have a pro line, are ceramic, and they do have a tendency to get chipped and dinged. So you can, if you put it on there properly, you can buy from KitchenAid the stainless steel. Okay, there we go. Now we have it. Okay, raise the bowl back up. Now, the nice thing about this is you can use regular flour. You don't need a special flour or bread flour. So I normally do not keep sweetened condensed milk, so that was the only thing I had to purchase to make this bread. So we need 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. And as a reminder, if you have a KitchenAid mixer, once you have the dough hook on, don't go above a level 2. So there is my quarter. And I'm gonna use half cups just because I don't wanna overwhelm the dough all at once. So there's half. One. 1 1/2. 2. 2 1/2. And 3, for a total of 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. The next thing that we're gonna add is our teaspoon of salt. And I am going to actually use fine crystal sea salt, but you could use any salt that you happen to have on hand. And even if you are conscientious, I will say, or try to restrict your salt, it is important that you put salt in your bread if the recipe calls for it. Otherwise, your bread will not come out as well as it would if you did add the salt. So I am going to let this mix around a little bit and form a ball, and I will bring you back for the next steps. Okay guys, real life here. I forgot to tell you, when you're adding your liquid ingredients, to add your 1/4 cup of sweetened condensed milk. So that goes in with the liquid ingredients before you add your flour. So let's get back to bread making. All right, well, we have a nice dough ball. Let me show you in the mixer here. So it's all gathered up on the dough hook. So now it's time to add our butter. And what you want is a 1/4 cup of softened butter. So I just cut it up into like 1 tablespoon increments. And yeah, I guess I'm gonna put it all over the mixer. And then you add that. Now, this is an unusual recipe. And from what I understand, and I always like to know the why behind why you do something, it helps me remember. And it also helps if you want to tweak a recipe to know why you're doing what you're doing when you're doing it. So we're going to turn on the mixer and let me try to scoot you over a little bit so you can actually see into the mixer bowl. There you go. So you can see a lot of the butter is wanting to stick to the sides of the bowl. And I'm super glad I watched the video, because I would have been like, okay, I just ruined my bread because it's oily and we've lost our dough ball. But this affects how luscious and tender your bread actually will be. So there is, according to the Kneady Homesteader, something to be said for adding bread at the end. Adding butter, excuse me. So what you will have to do along the way is scrape down. And even though this will make 2 loaves of bread, when we get to the part where I actually show you the pans that we're going to use, you're going to see it's a very small individual loaf of bread. So this is probably about the equivalent of making 1 loaf of regular bread. So let me pull it back up, turn my mixer back on. There we go. And you probably shouldn't stick your spatula in while it's mixing up. But what you want it to do is come back together to a ball. And then once it comes to back together into a ball, and it's coming, I just have to continue to fold it in a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely changing here. We're going to knead the bread then with the mixer for 5 to 7 minutes. So I will bring you back at the end of that time to talk about next steps. All right, well, we are back. And if you notice, my counter looks dirty. I disinfected it very well. And I actually put a little oil on the counter. You can use flour as well. Our dough ball is beautiful, but what I will tell you is this is a very, very soft dough. So a lot of times sweetbreads do have very soft doughs. So I have washed my mixer bowl, dropped a little bit of, I'm using corn oil, but you can use whatever oil you have on hand. And I am going to coat the dough ball, cover it with a damp flour sack towel, tea towel, whatever you have. And then I'm gonna put it into my oven with the light on, because y'all know it's like super cold in my house all the time. And we're gonna let this rise for about an hour, and I will bring you back to show you the risen dough. All right, well, our bread has been rising for an hour, and even though this is a large bowl, you can see just how much the bread has risen. So now we need to turn it out onto the countertop. So you have some options here. I am going to actually use just some canola oil spray, because of course I cleaned the counter after I did my initial kneading on the counter to form it into a ball. And oh wow, this is a nice, fluffy, soft dough. Here we go. So what you want to do now is press out your dough, you know, into a square or a rectangle. However, let's see if I can, there we go. However you can best shape it to divide it into 2. So, you know, if you're uber persnickety careful, whatever the word would be, you can actually weigh this and make sure that your 2 halves are even. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna use my bench cutter here and just divide the dough into 2 pieces. So we're gonna set this one aside here. And I will tell you, I'm really loving the oil. It's working out so well rather than flour, and then you don't have that icky yicky paste all over your counter, although you do have the oil to clean up, but to me the oil is a little simpler. So I am just going to take a rolling pin, and I am going to roll out my dough thinly. And I want to apologize, you guys. I'm sorry that I forgot to tell you about the sweetened condensed milk. If you've ever cooked with sweetened condensed milk, you know it's super thick. So I knew I would like oop it all over. So I forgot to tell you about the sweetened condensed milk being in the bowl. And the other thing to tell you is I had about half the can left. So I put it into a lidded plastic container. Yep, I'm still using some plastic. And put it in the refrigerator because I want to make this bread again if it comes out as yum as I think it will. So I'm just trying to do a nice even job, because what we're going to do is we are going to roll this up tightly into like a log. And I think I've got it almost there. This dough is super tender and really, really easy to work with. I'm pleased with that. I had a few tense moments when I was mixing that butter, just because I was afraid it would not come together, but it definitely did. So let me wash off my hands here right quick. And then I want to show you the pan that we're going to be using. And in case y'all think I'm wearing my bathrobe, I'm not. This is one of the holiday LuLaRoe sweaters from several years ago when all of their sweaters were long. And it's so cold in my house that I thought it was a good day for a long sweater. So let me show you the pan that I'm using. And it's small. You know, here's my hand. It's not very large. It is oval. I will include in the recipe what this pan is called. It is called, hold on, I'll find it, an oval cheesecake mold. Like, how would you get a cheesecake out of here? It's not a springform pan. So we sprayed it a little bit. I've decided to cook it on parchment papers for easy lift out, because once you put the glaze on, I have a feeling it could easily get stuck to the pan as a tender bread. So I have two of these. I did purchase these on Amazon. It was $22.99 for the set. Okay, so a little pricey. However, you know, I make all my own bread, and I'm just rolling this up tightly while I'm yakking. And I have found that if you purchase nice products, now I'm going to pinch this seam together like yay. If you purchase nice products and you take good care of them, they will literally last you a lifetime. So I don't feel remiss or guilty when when I do purchase a special pan, because I can see this application for so many different kinds of bread. My son, please y'all say a prayer. My son had COVID very early on. He lives in the Cleveland area, and he recovered, but he was sick for about a month, and it went through his entire workplace. He works for a very small organization. Everybody had it. So my son, being my son, he worked every day. He is so fearful because I'm immunosuppressed that he's going to give me COVID. And I keep telling him, hello, that's been since like February since you had COVID. You're not going to give it to me. But he is worried that he's not immune. And so I haven't had the opportunity to see my son since COVID started. And I'll also share with you, in the state of Ohio, our governor actually did a press conference yesterday. Our numbers are out the roof. I don't watch the news, so I'm not sure what's going on in other states. I probably should watch. I usually just read my news. But he said he hated to have to shut down the state again, but he might have to. And what I can tell you is people aren't doing what is recommended. And it's like 87% of the Ohio population lives in a red county, which means very high risk for transmission. The only county, or the only level higher, is purple. But anyway, I'm getting off topic and we're making bread here. But I just hope and pray that things calm down a little bit. You know, I don't want people being ill, obviously, but also I really want my son to come home for Christmas, and I can see doing this. This was the whole point of that long story, I swear. I can see doing this, like you could do cinnamon, you know, put like a filling in it. You could do orange. You could do so many really good flavors. So that was my justification for buying the pans. Oh my word. Okay, so let me flip you back down. So we have our little log here, which is about the size of the pan. And what I'm going to do, the actual original recipe said make 7 slices. However, I think doing 8 is easier because you can do it a little more evenly. So cut it in half, cut your halves in halves, and then cut those halves in half again for a total of 8. So you are making like little rolls. So this is going to end up sort of like what I would call a pull-apart bread. It will kind of mesh back together when you bake it. But what you want to do then is you want to nest it into the pan. And I'm going to start in the middle. I just think that will be easier. And just put my little slices in there. Oh, and I will tell you, this bread smells so good and so yeasty. So yeah, fuss with it till you have it, till you like it. So there you go. I have one in. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do the other half of the dough. These are going to get covered again with a damp flour sack towel. They're going to go back in my oven just because it's like freezing cold in my house to rise for the second rise for about 45 minutes. So I'll bring you back when they have risen for the second time. Well, our bread has finished its second rise. I can't wait to show you. Look how beautiful this bread is going to be. Yummo, right? So, another step. Get yourself a pastry brush. Take an egg. Beat it with about a teaspoon or so of water. And brush your bread with this egg mixture, which will help it to turn a beautiful golden brown. So I have preheated my oven to 350. The stated cook time is 20 to 22 minutes. I never know with my oven running a little bit cool where exactly it will end up as far as how long it's going to take, but I can let you know once the bread has baked. So we will bake it, and then we are going to top it with a glaze while that bread is still warm. So the glaze consists of, so I don't forget to tell you about the sweetened condensed milk again, 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of the sweetened condensed milk. So I am just waiting on my oven to preheat. These look gorgeous. And I will bake them and bring you back. So stay tuned. Well, our bread is gorgeous. So I'll swing you down here and show you the 2 loaves. What I can say is as you're cutting your slices and placing them, you can see like one end of the bread's a little higher. I don't care about that, but I think if I was doing it, especially to take to an event, I would be a little bit more observant about how I put the slices in, but it smells so good. I actually did bake mine on convect, and it took exactly 20 minutes, and it was that brown. So it looks very done, and I am super excited. So now we're gonna add our glaze. And I will tell you, it's about 62 degrees in my house. And mixing the butter even softened, which it was just softened at room temperature, and the sweetened condensed milk, 3 tablespoons of each, it was still kind of chunky or lumpy, and I didn't want it that way. So what I ended up doing is I just popped it in the microwave for like 15 seconds, and it's much creamier and smoother. So now we are just going to coat all this beautiful bread with this decadent, fattening, delicious sweetened condensed milk and butter combination. And this one's going to be a hard one to wait until it cools. You are supposed to wait until your bread cools. Cutting it before it's completely cooled lets moisture out of the bread, and your bread will not be as good as it would be if you could be patient and wait. So I am probably going to just bring you all back for a taste test. And wow, this looks like a lot of glaze for 2 loaves of bread, but I suppose that's what makes it so yum, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this bread. Drop me a comment below and let me know, do you plan to try this? Have you made it previously? And are you going to do it for Thanksgiving? Or are you going to do it for Christmas? Or are you going to just do it like I did because I wanted some really yum bread? So I hope you all are well. I hope you are healthy and blessed. And I will see you next week with some more make it for Christmas items. I think the next video that I'm going to be doing is going to be based on request. It's going to be the menthol shower steamers. So stay tuned for that. Have a great day.